Good morning and welcome to the morning after. I am Brandon. We are talking LSU football. We're going to discuss some Saints pregame that I have some notes I wanted to cover just to prep everybody on what they can expect this afternoon. But let's get back to last night. LSU goes into Oxford, Mississippi and defeats Ole Miss 58-37. I didn't put out a preview prediction video on Friday, and I apologize for that. It's just been a real busy week for me, but I had predicted 40-21. The spread was 20.5 for LSU, and I didn't think that they would cover because that's such a large number. LSU doesn't typically cover 20-plus point spreads in recent history. Now, they ended up covering last night, and it was a heck of a game. Regardless if you were a fan of Ole Miss or LSU, you saw a lot of things you liked from both offenses and a lot of things you hated about the defense. Special teams. What can you say? Cade York, he came through with some big-time kicks. Not sure if you needed the kicks, but you know, because Burrow went off last night again. But having Cade York as a weapon, especially as a true freshman, the dude's balling out. He's doing his thing. Now, 58-37. I didn't expect the defense to give up that many points. I honestly thought we'd give up something in the 20s because that's kind of the trend with LSU. They, whenever it's what I call a downer game, a game where it's not Texas or Florida or Bama or Auburn, you know, the lesser competitive teams on the schedule where they're favored by a whole lot, I don't feel like the defense gets up much for that. You know, and I don't even think the play calling is as aggressive either. I kind of feel like they just rushing 3 and dropping 8, or rushing 4 and just playing cover 2 or something. But anyway, okay, we'll get back to the defense in a minute. I don't like what I saw last night, and I was trying to find some silver lining last night. I was tweeting, you know, back and forth with some people, but we're going to get into that in just a minute. So I want to go through some stats. I wrote down some stats because I couldn't remember this off the top of my head. Burrow, 32 for 42. Right at 500 yards, he threw for 489, 5 TDs, and 2 interceptions. And 2 of those interceptions came in the second half. And I'm going to lie to you, I know one for sure came in the second half when Ole Miss was making their comeback. He still threw for 76%. You throw the ball 42 times and you connect for 76%. Usually when you throw the ball that many times, you don't win because you're not very balanced. But LSU had yards per attempt, which is my favorite stat, is 11.6. So every completion he had resulted in a first down on average. Yes, there were some big plays. Yes, there were some quick outs when there was pressure. But if you average it out, he basically threw for a first down each time he threw the ball. And I like that stat. That's one of my favorite stats. Now, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's just continuing his ascendance to the NFL. You know, it's so funny because at the beginning of the season, everybody said LSU does not have a LSU running back. They do not have a Jeremy Hill. They do not have a Darius Geis. They do not have a Kevin Falk. They don't have a Leonard Fournette. They don't have, name it. Name all of the great running backs we've had in the last 15 years. He's not on the roster. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire probably read that and said, okay, all right, well, keep doubting me. And all he's done is performed on the biggest stage every single night. I'm so proud of that guy. He ran for 172, caught 22 yards passes. You know, he averaged rushing 7.5 yards a rush. That's amazing. He did score a touchdown last night. This dude is he's making so much money these last few games because I strongly believe he's going to go to the NFL next year, and he should. Go make your money while your stock is hot. I understand the whole attrition thing, but you know, LSU's got backs on the roster, and they got backs coming in through recruiting, which I believe there's one out of North Shore that's going to be committing to LSU real soon, and he's a talent. So you can't deny talent in college. So if I'm Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I continue to ball out, be the workhorse you are, be true to who you are, pound the rock, catch the ball out of the backfield, make first downs, make touchdowns, and make people miss, run through tackles. I mean, Clyde Edwards-Helaire has at least 3 moves that he does every night. And as a defender, you don't know what to do. And because he's so dang low to the ground, he's 5'8". And I've heard comparisons to Mark Ingram. I've heard comparisons to Darren Sproles. I'm not exactly sure anymore. I always thought that he was more along the lines of Barry Sanders because of his hips and his footwork and his shiftiness, because you can't tackle him with the first tackle, right? But I was also told that I was crazy for saying that. And maybe because that person just had a lot of respect for Barry Sanders. I'm not saying he's had the same career as Barry Sanders, but he has the same moves. The spin move, you know, the juke, and he can still run over you when you don't know if it's coming. So I love Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I love his draft stock where he's trending. You know, I'm definitely buying on 22 right now. He's amazing. If you don't want to give Burrow player of the game, give it to Clyde because he deserves it. He's your third down guy. He's Joe's bailout whenever everybody's, you know, covered, or whenever there's a fast rush and he can't scan the field. So good for him. I'll give you Chase and Jefferson stats real quick, and then I'll give you some thoughts on that. You know, Chase 8 for 227, 3 TDs, really huge game for him. And for him only being a sophomore, it speaks volumes to where they've come in the past, right? Jefferson 9 for 112, another huge game, 2 touchdowns for him. I know Moss caught some passes. I know Marshall. I know 17 caught some passes. So I didn't write theirs down. I just kind of wrote the biggest contributors. But I love all the wide receivers. Everybody knows that. Everybody loves it. I know 17 is one of my favorites, and he's going to get his opportunities even more next year with Jefferson going to the NFL. Great outing by the offense, you know, minus the 2 turnovers. You pretty much dominated the game when you were on the field. You ran the ball when you wanted. You passed the ball when you wanted. Like I said, with the exception of the 2 turnovers, that can be cleaned up, okay? All these things are fixable. Let's talk about Ole Miss. Plumlee, their true freshman, Mike Vick wannabe quarterback, who owned LSU's defense last night. Let's just call it what it was. LSU had no answer for him. He rushed for 212, 4 touchdowns. He passed for 123. Ely, their running back, their big playmaking guy, rushed for 141. So you're giving up 350 yards plus rushing last night. You know, what I noticed with Plumlee when he ran the ball, it was a lot of keepers, but he was just faster than our linebackers. So he got to the second level, and after that, I mean, who's going to catch him? The dude, he's fast. I'll tell you this right now. He ran against the red team over there in Tuscaloosa. He ran for over 150 yards against that defense. Right? I've said this in past videos. Offensive football today will trump defensive football today most of the time because you can scheme. You get people in space. The referees, they call the game that benefits the offense. You can't smash people no more across the field on defense. You can't lay somebody out without getting a flag thrown at you, even if it's a clean hit. So these running quarterbacks have no fear. They're not going to get laid out. So they know that they can take what's coming to them. But then again, LSU, they couldn't tackle last night. Delpit missed some key tackles on some big plays. Queen missed some tackles. I didn't look at the D-line. I understand this is a 3-4 alignment, but when you got 5 blocking 3 and one of your linebackers is out of position, you're going to give up a big play. It happened against Vanderbilt. It's going to happen. So you need your linebackers to be in position as long as your nose tackle can hold its position and your ends can hold. That'll give the linebackers a chance to make the tackle. But you got to listen. I had my purple visors on last night, and I did not want to accept how bad they looked. But after thinking it through and watching the game again, I watched it again earlier this morning. You know, I'm still so proud of the offense. I'm proud of the special teams. I'm proud of the coaching. But I'm not proud of what the defense put on the field. There's no excuse for LSU to have a defense as bad as that. performance last night. Now, the defense is not that bad. Okay, if you remember, in the fourth quarter, they pretty much shut down Alabama, with the exception of some, that last bomb at the end. Against Florida in the second half, they played really, really, really good. They played really good against Auburn. For the most part, they held them to 20 points or so. So the defense is not bad, although they've shown all year long that you could score on them and you could run on them. So I said this before. LSU's defense is good to average most of the year. They were never great, and they were never horrible. But last night they were bad. Last night they were really, really bad. And some of it you got to give credit to Ole Miss. You've seen LSU poop their pants a few times on defense this year. So what else do we expect? Do we expect them to just flip a switch like that and Aranda to have, the 2000 Ravens out there? No. You're not. No one's going to be. I'm sorry, my deal was going off. Sorry, I had a message. No one's going to be expecting a shutdown defense at this point of the season. However, we do expect to get off on third down. We do expect to get off when it's 3rd and 7, 3rd and 15. We're not getting off the field on that. So I tweeted this last night. I would like to see the defense just play man up and blitz. Because what's going to happen? You're going to give up yards. If you're gonna drop 8 in coverage, they're gonna cut you underneath. They're gonna run at you, and they're gonna get the underneath routes. If you taking risks and you sending pressure and you man up, I don't care if you play one high, and you send the extra person on the blitz, and you man up. You're gonna give up some big plays, but you're gonna get some big plays. That's risk reward, right? But don't you have an offense that you feel comfortable with that can put up points on anybody at this point in the season? So why not take more risks? I mean, that's kind of what the Saints did in 2009. Very aggressive, attacking, opportunistic defense. LSU has the athletes that can play that type of football and defense. I just feel like going back and thinking it through, and as I'm talking right now, I don't think Aranda is as aggressive as I would want him to be. Now, that's not his demeanor. He's more tactical and try to outcoach you. But hell, dude, if you aggressive on offense and you blowing people out and you're attacking, attack on defense from first down. Right when you kick off, and excuse my language, but right at first down, just attack, man. You got good DBs. You got good DBs. You can play with anybody. You have the athletes. So that's my thing. Be more aggressive. Take risks. You're going to give up big plays, but you're also going to create turnovers. And I just think that that's a brand of football that a lot of people wouldn't mind seeing, although there's some people that's going to complain about it no matter anything, no matter what you do. Excuse me. So it sucked to watch the defense last night get torn up by Ole Miss. I feel like Ole Miss put up more yards than Alabama did because Ole Miss put up 600 yards. Now LSU turned around and said, I'll trump you. And they put up over 700 yards on Ole Miss, which you should do that. That's expected. And I guess if we would have just given up, okay, so Plumlee had 200 rush yards and 4 touchdowns. I would have been happy if he would have had 100 rush yards and 2 touchdowns. I wouldn't have been complaining. I'm like, because I said this is what Ole Miss does. They are a running team. They do outside zones. They do the keepers. They did a lot of counters last night, and that works against aggressive defenses too. But they did a lot of counter runs, especially with the quarterback. So, credit Ole Miss. But man, I'm glad that game's over. We can put it behind us. We can worry about Arkansas because Arkansas is just another bad team. No offense to you Arkansas fans out there, but Arkansas is just a bad team. So LSU is not going to face another running quarterback in the SEC the rest of the year. So glad this game's over with. Now they can look forward to the next game. But look, they're 10-0. They're in the driver's seat in the West. They have an opportunity to finish 12-0 and to face Georgia and Atlanta. And LSU, I checked last week, LSU is a 13-point favorite over Georgia right now. Right now. As bad as the defense looked last night, that's how much confidence Vegas has in LSU right now. They're minus 13. Now, that's probably going to go down at some point, the closer we get. And as long as everyone stays relatively healthy and people quit sitting out, due to coaches' decisions. Okay, so that's LSU. I'm proud of LSU, man. I'm happy. I'm happy we got the W. Look, 10-0. At the end of the day, every other thing is fixable. I think the tackling issues has been an issue all year long. That has nothing to do with Aranda. They, Delpit, I'll be the first to say he's not playing like 7. This dude needs to tackle. He's shoestringing people. Wrap up. Stevens got burnt last night too. Y'all go back and watch the film. Stevens got outplayed last night, and that's another thing that worries me. I don't think Stevens should go pro, although he is draft eligible. I think Jacoby Stevenson needs to come back to LSU and work on his cover skills. Tackling's fine. He's working on his cover skills. Okay, moving forward. New Orleans Saints at Tampa Bay. Saints is 7-2. Tampa Bay is 3-6. Tampa Bay is not a good team, but Tampa Bay is one of those annoying teams that could beat you. You could be undefeated, and they're going to come to your house and beat you. We've seen it. All right, Jameis Winston is a streaky quarterback. I would never want him as my quarterback, but I hate playing against him. He's one of those guys, right? So the New Orleans Saints are a 6-point favorite today. 6-point favorite. The game is at noon. So if you look at some injuries real quick for Tampa, Carl Nassib, their outside linebacker, one of their rushers, he's out for the game. But just about every other key player is available. I hate to see it because on the Saints side, your left guard, Andres Pete, is out. Your best DB, Marshawn Lattimore, is out. Your punt returner, special teams ace, rookie, Deontay Harris, is out. So now we're looking at, for punt returners, you're probably looking at Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill. With Marshawn out, that upgrades, I would say Apple's probably going to stay on their number 2. And if P-Rob doesn't play, then the nickelback is going to move up into that starting role. And I can easily see Mike Evans having a 150-yard pass-catching day and probably 2 or 3 touchdowns. So we don't really have anybody that can shut him down if Marshawn's out. So I don't know what the Saints are going to do defensively. I'm hoping that they can run the ball and hold the ball and play ball control this week. I have some keys to victory right here real quick that I want to go over for the Saints. Just an observation. I don't really have a scoring prediction because with as many injuries, I'm not very confident the Saints are going to have an absolute win. Okay, so obviously whoever protects the ball is going to win the game. If Breeze doesn't throw picks, if the Tampa Bay quarterback throws interceptions, which he's prone to do, then that's good for the Saints, right? The Saints need to run the ball. Whenever Teddy was playing, they were so good at running the ball. They were good with Murray. They were good with Kamara. They were even good with Washington towards the end of 1 or 2 games. Run the ball. Run the ball. Run the ball. Run the ball. The Bucs will play the run tough. They are number 1 against the run in the league right now. But that doesn't mean you have to abandon it, especially early. You be consistent with it. It may be a low-scoring game. It may be just a 7-3 game by the half. But you keep at it, and you keep working at it. You need to watch for the Buccaneers' passing attack. If we can hold them, if you want to play cover 3, or if you want to play some cover 2 and get some kind of pass rush, I wouldn't man up on these guys too often because they have a lot of offensive weapons. Honestly, their Achilles heel is Winston, their quarterback. If he's having a bad day, I don't care who you have out there because he panics at times. And sometimes he just gets on fire and he'll light you up. So if we can limit their passing attack and run the ball, which I know is very cliche, but in this type of game, with the injuries you have, being on the road, and a 3-6 Bucs team who have nothing to play for, they're third in the South. They're not going to catch anybody, but they can ruin your day, right? So you want to make sure you control the narrative the entire game. You always have a tough game at Tampa. Always have a tough game. I don't care how good you are. You go to Tampa, they can make this a 1-score game with whoever has the ball last. The crowd gets into it. It's a really tough game. They have one of the dirtiest yet nastiest players in the league on their D-line, Ndamukong Suh. They got Devin White from LSU. They got Levante David. They got some players. Now they just cut Hargraves, their DB, and he got picked up by Houston. But word is that he just didn't want to. When he ain't trying, they just gonna cut you. Word is there was little to no effort on his part when it comes to wanting to play the game, right? You got to love the game to want to play the game. If you don't, it will show. So they're losing a little depth on that back end, right? So how good is play action if you can get the run game going? I know the Saints really have Thomas and Kamara and pretty much nobody else that they trust right now. I know they're going to try to force feed Jared Cook today because Breeze is destined to prove that this is a good signing. He hasn't showed me much. But anyway, so here's some keys to the game. For the Saints to win, protect the ball, run the ball. Don't turn it over. Control possession, right? Low scores is not a bad thing in this game. The Bucs, the keys for them is to start fast, pass the ball, put pressure on Breeze to be one-dimensional. If they can do that, it looks like they can win the game too. But the Saints are a 6-point favorite for a reason. Can't wait to see how it comes out. Good luck to the Saints today. LSU, get right. Get your defense right. We got Arkansas next week. Have a good day, guys. Later.